Okay, we're live for our hangout. We already have a couple of people watching in the chat. Should you want in, DM me on Twitter for a link, and I'll bring you in. We already have our first guest. Someone I think has been a follower for quite a while because I've bumped into you regularly on Twitter.
Yeah.
Jen. So,
yes.
quick introduction. Quick introduction.
I'm just Jen. Jen with one N.
Yeah. We teased you a little bit, but you didn't. You did actually get that because
I can't see any of the chat. Just to let you know, I can't see any because I'm on my phone right now and my computer is dead. So
okay.
So let me know if there's anything pertinent in the chat.
Yeah, if there's something directed at you, I'll let you know.
Okay.
No problem. I'll see if because your volume is a little bit low. I'll see if I can boost it a little.
Okay.
Okay. So, what do you think?
Oh my goodness. I seriously needed a shot of liquor after watching Max.
Yeah, I think you weren't the only one.
Oh. And I remember now why I blocked him on Twitter like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
It's just so ridiculous. And then the rudeness. Just
that's what I don't get. They make out atheists as the immoral people and the one that can't be decent, and then show up and show everyone that you're the one that's actually not able to have a decent conversation.
Yeah.
So I don't get it.
I don't know if he was like, I don't know. I hate to generalize, but is he like mental or something? Or is there something seriously wrong with him? Because he was projecting everything onto you guys.
Yeah. Well,
it was so ridiculous.
I can't say if this is still an issue. I have seen a talk with him where he said that at least he's on some kind of medication. So, but I don't know the details, and since he's not here, I think that's all I can say about it.
Right.
I do think that he has issues, at least anger issues, which he should address. But yeah, as I said, he's not here, so I'm not going to say anything about that.
Right.
But yeah, he's the cause he's working for. He's doing our work.
He is,
because if I've had several theists come to me and say, well, that's a guy I don't want to be associated with, and that's a group I don't want to be associated with. And yeah, the fact that and he told us flat out he doesn't have a burden of proof if he makes a claim. Well, he doesn't make claims, he makes observations.
Yes.
I still don't know the difference. I really don't know the difference between what's a claim and what's an observation. If you make an observation,
benefit of the doubt, you could say that he was observing something or he was observing somebody doing something. But a claim is like a fact or I don't know, something with proof.
Yeah, but if you have a statement, if you even have a statement and you want someone to believe you, then at
Yeah.
least it's common courtesy to say, hey, listen, check it out. Here's the data. Check it out. Don't
Yeah.
believe me on my
Yeah.
word because I'm not
Right.
I'm
You
not
got to back up
important.
what you say. Yeah.
Yes,
You got to back up what you
I'm not
say.
important. If I make a
Mm-hmm.
claim, it's not people shouldn't believe me because I make the claim. They should
Mm-hmm.
believe me because they go and check what I said and see if it's true, yes or no. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I don't get with him. He
Yeah.
is
And I.
completely against the burden of proof, thinks he doesn't have burden of proof, thinks
Mm-hmm.
theists don't have burden of proof,
Mm-hmm.
religion doesn't have burden of proof. So where do you go from there?
I don't
You've
know.
got nothing left.
And the part when he automatically dismissed any evidence that you would hand him. He dismissed it beforehand.
Yes.
Yeah. When you said, "Oh, I'll give you this journal or something," and he goes, "Well,
That's
I can't believe that."
before
Yeah.
he read a single word, and that's why I asked him,
Right.
why would you do that? Because if that's how you're going to approach any data that you have, then
Mm-hmm.
if you automatically think that it's biased, if you automatically think that people will have an agenda, I
Right.
don't see it that way, and
Right.
I still fail to see any good reason why people would do that.
Right. He's blaming it all on
So
like secular society. Like, what else is there? I couldn't wrap my head around him saying, well, this isn't taught in schools, and like, of course it's not taught in schools. It's secular schools. Like he's thinking that religion should be indoctrinated in school or something like that. I couldn't understand what he was trying to say half the time.
he
And
was make he was making a claim about my life. I'm pretty sure that I can judge how education is here, and that
yeah,
what he says is a flat out lie. I can't make it
yeah,
any different. It's a flat out.
mm-hmm.
There is no such thing as atheistic indoctrinations.
Right. You have to have a doctrine to indoctrinate somebody. And over the umbrella of atheism, there isn't a doctrine. You could
Yeah.
have atheists that believe in UFOs. You could have atheists that believe in conspiracy theories. You can have atheists that are anti-vaxxers or believe in flat Earth even. But the only common thread is atheism, which is the absence of the belief in a God.
Yes.
And that's the only common thread. It's not an umbrella statement, well, all atheists do this or all atheists do that. Like all atheists are bad parents. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. But the only reason I can think of is just either having an extremely weak belief yourself,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
making a claim you can't back up, because those are the only two reasons why you should even have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And what I also hate about having that position is that you put a lot more into atheism than there actually is. It's just addressing one single point, and
Exactly.
it's my opinion that if someone calls atheism a religion, there's only one reason they do this, and that's because a religion is easier to debunk because you don't have
Yeah.
get up.
Right. And
And
they
that
also want to try to level the playing field. They want to put us in this, they want to put us down to their level, so to speak.
yeah.
Like we all are under the same influence or all believe in the same thing, or we all worship Richard Dawkins or something.
Which is another of the
Yeah.
ridiculous claims.
Yeah.
I don't worship anyone. There are people that I admire because of the work they do. And I got told off by Aaron Ra, saying
Really?
that yeah, he said, well, you can have your idols with them on everything. And well, he was correct, and that's actually how I approach it. One of my idols is Matt Dillahunty, and I don't agree with him on everything. Another one is Richard Dawkins, and I don't agree with him on everything. When it comes to Bible scholars, I'm a huge fan of Francesca Stavropoulou. I don't agree with her on everything.
Right.
The way these people work, that's what's drawing me to them, because each in their field are extremely good at what they do. And the only thing we have in common is that we don't believe there's a God, and that's it.
Right. Right. You can admire different aspects of people's speeches or lectures or podcasts. You don't have to believe wholeheartedly 100% with every atheist you come across.
And I'm actually I have a couple of people who will address me if there's something oh, sorry, I got a private message which actually concerned me a little bit, and I'm very happy to see that. Sorry. I completely lost my train. Okay, yeah, there are a couple of people who will come to me with their honest opinion. And that's the people I admire the most that are listening to our channel, because we make content not just for ourselves, but also for the people who are listening. And if someone comes to me and say, hey, wait a minute, you should have done this different or that different, then we can implement that. We can work with that. We won't ever be able to please everyone, but yeah, it's great to have input. So that's why I like that you came on and tell me what you think of all of it.
Oh,
but
I think the chat was overrun with just calling Max out on everything that he was saying.
I saw that.
And I don't think did Max see the chat or no?
I don't think so, because I'm pretty sure
he probably would have rage quitted a lot sooner.
I think so, yes.
He probably would have had a heart attack or something and rage quitted about 5 minutes in, because he thought he was being ganged up on or something, when 90% of the things in the chat were like, where do you get your quotes from? You need a citation for this. What are you talking about? You know, he's just pulling all this info out of nowhere. Like, where did he get info about, you know, kids who are having homosexual parents versus not, and, you know, their quality of life? And where did he get info on, you know, the amount of atheists in science and all this other stuff he was trying to quote without any backup? You just can't put facts out there like that and expect people to believe you without citing a source somewhere.
Yeah.
And then he gets mad. Then he got mad, and people were like, I'm sorry, I'm talking way too fast here. People were like, where are you getting that from? And even you guys, you know, were like, where were you getting? Oh, hi.
Sorry, I'm cutting in.
Oh, that's okay.
Molly's back.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, Molly wasn't here. Molly wasn't here at the start because Molly had to attend to a few things. Because believe it or not, Molly has a real life.
Yeah.
So
I was cooking dinner when the first video was happening. I was cooking dinner. So
okay.
It's we all apparently have actual lives going on.
Yeah, figure.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rage and my favorite was I'll do that if you're nice to me.
Over and over and over again.
Yeah. If you're nice to me, I'll give you this link. And then not a minute later, well, screw you guys. You're not being nice to me. I'm not going to do a thing for you. I'm not, and then I don't care if you believe me or not. Well, then why the heck did you even come on to talk? It was supposed to be friendly. He turned it hostile. He really did. And everybody can see that. They can replay it. He can replay it.
He won't.
Yeah, he won't. He won't.
I guess the challenge is he just never takes a breath,
Oh, right.
So it's a little hard to jump in politely or in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do we have a chat going on too?
I don't know. I can't see a chat. I'm on my phone because my computer is not working.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Hey,
so,
Peter,
like
you
I
still
said,
there?
if anybody sees a chat, I don't know.
Late to the party.
Did he leave?
Hey, Peter. Peter abandoned us.
Oh, no.
So anyway, what was I don't know what I missed. I apologize.
Oh, we were just talking about what was happening in his rant, Max's rant. And
yes, there he is.
Oh,
there's
yeah.
Peter.
And the whole burden of proof thing.
I seem to have lost connection. I'm having a little bit of trouble. I'll be
back?
right back.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I don't know why. I mean, and anytime you make a statement, it's a claim. So
yeah,
if you're not prepared to have any kind of backup, and no, it doesn't have to be right on the spot, but certainly you have to have some kind of knowledge of where it came from.
Right.
Yeah, he's.
Like he seemed to be pulling stuff just out of his butt. He was just pulling stuff out of his butt.
I was a little bit baffled actually because of the whole claim that that Christianity is fully supportive of homosexuality. I was not expecting that, I guess. So
yeah, I wasn't expecting any of that. Like the whole thing, but
I mean, I knew it was going to be intense. That was not a surprise to me. Because I had some fair warning.
I can tell you of the people I know, yeah, the ones who are the most homophobic, and I do know homophobic people, they're very religious. And that's just me.
Well,
I have to say I know some atheists who are homophobic as well.
Yeah.
I have think there's a correlation. I just don't.
In my family. Right. So I think Steve just joined. Is that correct, Steve?
Hey, there you are. Wow, it took me a second to come in.
Hi, Steve.
What was the question? I'm sorry, there was a bit of a lag there as I came in. Hi.
No, I just wanted to introduce you because you just came on. So.
Hello, Steve.
Okay. Jen, you were talking.
Oh, I can't remember.
Well, about people being homophobic.
Oh, well, you can be anything and be homophobic. It doesn't necessarily come from religion, but it's not deterred by religion in any way. Like, Like, if you're Catholic, you don't have to be automatically homophobic. But if you're not homophobic, it doesn't mean you're not Catholic.
Yeah, he seems to want to
You
make
know
a
what I
lot
mean?
of statements about atheists as a group, and that's the part that, like, it's hard to get across to him, that, like, we're not a cohesive group. Just like you're saying that your religious, you know, counterparts are not a cohesive group. You know, he's sort of distancing himself from some of the fundamentalists. I find it hard to believe that he doesn't know who some of these figureheads are.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess he's acknowledging that that they are not a cohesive group, and they are far more so than we would ever be.
Right.
Well, I mean,
yeah, we were talking about that when yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying that Max makes a lot of mistakes. He's well known for that. And then when you call him out on him, he gets aggressive. He pulls this persecution thing, and then he just rage quit. In fact, I called he was going to rage quit about a minute before he did. That's his modus operandi. He doesn't know how to read things effectively. He'll take a little bit snippets of things. But for example, he'll mention things like the things with the peer review papers. That's a legit thing. It's called replication crisis. He doesn't understand what that is. He has no idea in the world what the replication crisis is. All he understands is, oh, I've read this somewhere. I'm an expert on it. Therefore, I understand scientific methodology and I understand peer review process, which is obviously not the case.
Yeah,
he seems like a soundbite guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but you said you called that he would rage quit a minute before.
Yes, I did. Yeah, go look at the live. Or you can't now, but yeah, the live chat. I said about a minute left or something along that effect. That he'll be rage quitting. Yeah.
I told Molly that was going to happen before we started. I told Molly, I think even when he accepted.
Well,
but that was going to happen.
Narrative. Peter, here's the thing with Max and deflating atheism. They like to be persecuted. They have this mentality that if they're being persecuted, they're doing God's will. Seriously, that's literally the perspective on the world, is that if people are criticizing them, they must be right.
Well, and that we're very, definitively the enemy.
Oh, they hate atheists. They just,
exactly.
I mean, said atheists were cockroaches. I mean, even Logic put a video out on that one. And the same video that they were dissing on me, but they didn't do it while a friend of mine was in there. They waited for him to leave. And then they were dissing on me. I was like, that's real nice.
Yeah. What I don't get, and I'd like to tell people, I have people tell me if we did it correctly, because Molly and I discussed it before we went in. We wanted to have a civil conversation, and we wanted to, at least with all our might, try to have a civil conversation. I think we succeeded in that.
You guys did.
Well, you did up to the end, and but that wasn't on your. That wasn't a slight against you all, though. You guys were trying to have a civil conversation. You have to remember, though, they can't have civil conversations with atheists. If they did that, that would not lay into their narrative.
Yeah, they need us. They need to put the blame on us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is why I think I wanted to make it very clear that, there was no. Yes, and of course everybody gets a little bit heated, but I mean, we didn't go in with an attitude of disrespect. Whereas he instantly, even in the pre-show, when Peter and I were initially talking to him, he was making cracks about the Dutch, and it just initially set the tone of like just combative, whether he thinks he was joking or not. I'm not terribly thrilled with the way that proceeded. I thought that it was good. I thought we had potential for it to be a lot more civil. And I kind of indicated to Peter when we were talking afterwards, as such. So
yeah, but that's nothing upon you guys, though. That was no fault of your guys.
Right.
I mean, these are things that we all known for a very long time with this guy. This is how he operates. He won't even go onto my show. I mean, he just outright refuses to. Deflating Atheism has, but he's pulled the same thing. He thinks that if you confront him or ask him for citations, and yeah, I agree, people don't have to get citations right away. I understand that.
But I don't think you were demanding that
have
either.
anything. Yeah, he doesn't have anything to support what he does, and what he does, he just cherry picks. That's the problem.
Well, Steve, you have been doing stuff like this a lot longer than I have, I think, and I think a lot more than I have.
See my hair? I was bald and shaved when I started this.
Well, I have a question.
I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. Go ahead. Sorry.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Molly is new, and Molly thinks that Molly's not sure if she did well in this. Give me your opinion, because I think.
No, I thought I didn't see any problems on your guys' issue. I thought Molly's questions were legit. I thought they were on point. You guys didn't harass him. You didn't antagonize him by any means. So no, I didn't find any fault. I mean, there are certain things. I mean, I'm the outcast in the community. Let's put it. I'm the agnostic. I'm the temporal agnostic. Atheists hate me and theists hate me. Let's be real here. But I do agree with that on some things. But the problem is with Dean is he doesn't know how to express anything articulately. He doesn't know how to all he does is submit things as this is the way it is. This is fact. This isn't my assertion. That's it. And then he throws in these, little cherry bits of information. It's the same as a creationist would do, right? They quote mine.
Yeah.
But no understanding of it.
Okay.
So, no,
we have another one.
Hi, Mike.
Mike.
Hey, gang, who's all on?
Jen with one N is here. A girl, I don't know if you know her, Molly. She's a co-host. Steve McRae is here, and obviously I'm here.
Nobody wants to know me.
We spoke, Mike. We spoke about you very briefly when we ended the stream, and Molly said a few things, and I said, well. One guy is always honest with me, and if there's something he doesn't like about me, he'll say it. So I'm going to ask you the same question I just asked Steve. Molly wasn't quite sure if she did well. What's your opinion? Because I'll know you give an honest opinion.
I think when Molly had a chance to speak, and to be honest, I didn't hear the whole thing. It got kind of painful. But
Yes,
when she had the chance to speak, I think she did very well. But it was so hard for anybody to get a word in edgewise there. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Who could have succeeded at what there, because he's impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I fully agree. So, Molly, anything different from what I said that people would tell you?
You're killing me, Peter.
Yeah. Well,
I know.
Well,
I guess I just question as to whether that required a more aggressive approach on my part. It's just not something that I'm super comfortable with. But I mean, obviously, it's hard to have a discourse when.
No, there's a difference between aggressive and assertive.
Well, but she's more
okay.
nuanced.
Well,
but yeah,
sure. More nuanced.
But Dean just will walk on people if you don't try to throw in a word edgewise, because he likes to do that, right? He likes to dominate.
Yeah, I just don't know what I could even there was nothing even close to being rational that you can even address in that whole mess of verbal
diarrhea.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. No, you're right.
Yeah.
There isn't much you can address. That's the hard part. I mean, he doesn't have anything really for you to latch onto and talk about. It's just all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, I even had some points in the midst of all that, but it just gets lost in this, river of the ridiculous.
Well, like when he asked you, the scientific method. It's like we all understand there's one scientific method. There's different ways to describe that scientific method, but the scientific method is a singular approach to do research in science and apply a method by which you get a hypothesis and you test it and you repeat it, you publish, or there's a whole bunch of things that go into it, but there's only one method.
Well, and the reason, and he sort of, because I knew what he wanted me to do was to sit there and list the steps so that he could pick it apart. And I'm not going to give him the satisfaction of doing that.
Right, because he would find other places have other steps, right? Because no one site's going to have the same steps. There's generally 5, but you can put 6, 7, 8. That doesn't really matter. It's the same scientific method.
I'm not going to play this game with you, you know?
Right, and that's what he was trying to do. There was no question. I could tell. I tell off the bat he was trying to do that.
Yeah.
That's how he claims to win arguments, by doing exactly that. He throws this stuff out there and he says it's concrete and this is how it is, and I don't even have to make any citations, and I don't care if you believe me. Well, if that was true, why was he even in the debate? Why would you show up to debate if you don't care?
Yeah, or say that you're not making any claims when clearly he doesn't know what that means.
Right. Yeah, well, he doesn't want to have it. He doesn't want to use that particular term, because if he makes a claim, then he has burden of proof, and he knows that he has burden of proof, and that's what he wants to dodge at any cost.
But why are people so against that? A lot of people are like that. They think that's a dirty word, you know, to make a claim. Or
there's only one. There's only one reason. There's only one reason to be against having the burden of proof, and that is if you can't back up what you're saying.
I agree.
Exactly.
I totally agree. That's why I'm like, I'll make claims all day long. I do it all the time on my channel. I'll back up every single one of them. It may take some time, but I'll do it.
That's because you got it from somewhere in the first place. You know, that, like, yes, I knew exactly where this came from.
Yeah, exactly. I don't make arbitrary claims, not at least being able to go, okay, I know I have this somewhere. May not be able to get to you right away, sure. But I usually can. But if I can, I'll be like, I'll send it to you. I have no problem with that.
Which is generally a fairly calm, collected statement. It's not a fly off the handle, you know, accuse us of playing dirty kind of thing.
Well, some people do, though. I mean, like Nephilim Free's famous for that. If you cannot produce a paper right on the spot, you're automatically, you know, like wrong and dodging and playing games. And it's like, who has this stuff on their fingertips? And, you know, it's like, come on, some of these stuff is very technical. It's not information I have literally on my fingertips, but I can do the research because I have before.
Yeah, but I don't think any of us were going to sit there and be like, "Oh, you don't have it, therefore it's you know, it's okay, fine. You know, that's fine. Let's move on."
Well, you know how you guys could do that, though. If you set a topic ahead of time, say this is going to be the specific topic. We're going to debate this aspect of this topic. Then you could have your material ready. They could have their material ready. You kind of agree on that ahead of time.
Yeah, but that's not what we do on our channel, because what we do, we just have conversations, and if there's something in the conversation and you need to back something up, you don't have to produce that immediately. That's not something that that I would expect someone to do, and that's not what we can do, because we're here to have a conversation. If there are claims and you want to back those up, you can send the links later, and I'll put them in the description, and I can read up on it, because it wouldn't even work if you link a scientific paper. You can't read a scientific paper while having a conversation. It just doesn't work.
Right. No, I understand that. I got you.
I don't think it would hurt to have some general. I mean, I know it's fairly casual. Well, allegedly casual conversation, but I don't think it would hurt to necessarily have a general, at least on their part, you know.
Yeah. You could do like, tonight we're going to talk about X, you know, informally.
Well, when you make a claim that most world scientists are Christians, I would think that that's a statistic you would have right at your fingertips.
Yeah, or at least be able to tell me where you got it from.
Yeah, I mean, he had nothing, and I would like to still know on that. Where did he get that from? Because I have not seen anything to the sort of that. Not even remotely close.
Yeah.
Well, that's maybe it's if he would have been more comfortable with that. If don't call it burden of proof. I'm interested. Show me what you have. I want to look this up. Show me.
But
but that didn't work.
No, he works on the force thing. I say it with force, therefore you have to believe me, and I don't have to back it up.
Yeah, but isn't that how religion works?
Exactly.
Because the guy in the pulpit is telling you what you have to believe, and you just have to believe it because the guy in the pulpit is telling you to believe it.
Take it on authority. That's right. They're playing on that human condition. That's we're programmed to listen to authority and to take their word for it. That's an evolutionary, that's a behavioral trait that we have brought up through millennia. And it's hard to break past that. It works.
Well, sure. I mean, have you seen those, the preachers? I mean, they all have a similar style. They have a cadence. They have this positive thing that they portray that's authoritative. People listen to that. You know why? Because it works.
That's exactly right.
That's why it's lasted so many thousands of years.
Yeah, but I think also it's the confidence with what they how they speak.
Sure.
Well, that plays in there too. Sure, but it's weird when you have so much confidence but so little ability. That's what gets me when I listen to people like Dean.
Well, but then that's why religion works so well, because you have this unquestionable idea that you can't question the big idea. Even you're not supposed to question the idea that there's a God. So then the step down, when you by questioning the preacher, you're questioning this other unquestionable truth, and now you're an outcast.
Well, he even said, "Oh, I don't have to. You're an atheist. I don't have to show you a burden or something. I don't have to give you proof. My only thing is to God. Then what the hell are you in these hangouts for?"
That's right.
Well, yeah. And it goes against his whole mission, which he was talking about in the first place. Let's not forget, he stated his mission was to treat us, quote unquote, the way that he perceives that we're persecuting, the Christians. So I mean, he has a purpose. He stated it.
Well, and doesn't his site also the one that says their ideas to wipe out atheism from? Was his the one that said that, to remove atheism from the internet and from Twitter?
Escaping from atheism.
Well, there are worse things. I don't know if I have to mention a name now. I won't mention a name because the person isn't here. I've screenshotted that. I also have a tweet that atheists should be sterilized, and maybe they should even start killing atheist babies.
Well, it is genetic, so.
Yeah, well,
psychotic. I'm telling you, they're one book away from being sociopaths. I'm not even joking.
Yeah,
literally.
And this is agnostic, but so for me to say this, that's pretty bad.
Well, the one who tweeted it is actually a teacher, and that's what's worrying me.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Oh yeah, actually, I know who now.
Professor.
Well, most who follow me will have seen that tweet. I think I retweeted it a couple of times, and but it still disgusts me if that's how people think, and if they're not even capable of saying, well, listen, this is not how I meant it, and explain to me how they meant it, and maybe that makes it better. I don't know. But they won't even reject.
There's really no way to make that better.
No.
Well, we just recently had a poll. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Steve.
We recently just had a poll where somebody had asked if you could remove all religious belief from people's minds currently and in the future, would you do it? 75% almost said no, and most of the reason being is that very reason. Because if they didn't have the religion, they would be out doing very ungodly, unmoral type things, I guess. I mean, and I've seen people say that. I've seen people say, well, I have the Bible and I have God. And you ask them, well, if you didn't have that, would you be out raping, pillaging, killing? And they'd be like, probably. And I'm like, that's freaking scary.
Yeah.
What do you say to that?
You broke up again.
I mean, how do you respond to something like that?
Eric Hovind specifically said that on an interview. The only thing keeping him from going out. Yeah.
Which great. Believe whatever you need to believe to get through the day. I don't care. But let's and I've policy, leave it. Don't let it affect me. Believe what you need to believe to govern your life. I don't care.
That's the problem. They interjected into secular society as far as school. That's what bothers me. When it comes to secularism, I'm all for it, right? I want separation of church and state, but I don't care what somebody believes. But my point is that a lot of these people literally would be sociopaths if they didn't have something to latch onto, and that's scary.
I wonder how much of that is really true, though, and that's just a way for them to convince themselves that morals are God-given and whatever else. That's just kind of a story that they're going to tell, and they repeat. And I'm sure there's people out there that are psychopathic, and that's probably true. But I think it's said more than it's.
You think it might be a little hyperbole?
Yeah.
And that might be the case. And with Eric, I certainly think it is. I mean, I've talked to Eric enough. I don't think Eric is a moral monster if he didn't have God. I think he's dishonest. I mean, I just don't think he believes a lot of the stuff he puts out.
Right.
And you know that I don't believe Hovind believes anything. You mean, Hovind's worse.
Yeah, well, hard to say. Do you guys know who Franz de Waal is?
No.
Gonna go now.
It's okay. No, he's a primatologist, and he wrote a book called Bonobo and the Atheists, and I just finished reading it recently, and it's actually funny because he actually advocates for. He goes, you need to be really careful because he's an atheist, but he also said it would be a really horrible thing to remove atheism from society just all at once. It would be chaos because we have to have some sort of order. We're like misbehaving children if we don't have boundaries and rules.
Remove atheism or remove theism?
What's that?
Do you mean remove atheism or remove theism?
I think you just misspoke, Mike.
Yeah. Oh, I think you said atheism. That's what confused me.
No, I apologize. No, if we removed theism, we removed religion from society as a whole, sure. it would be chaotic. It really would, because there's this certain sense of community and stuff that's built around it that's actually very healthy, and it's a lot of the way that we have the societies that we have today are because of those rituals.
Right. Actually, Mike just posted a paper on this recently on Twitter that was really interesting about the role of organized religion in terms of the blossoming of large societies.
Right. Yeah, and it's the idea of what would we replace it with would be the scary thing, and we replace it with authoritarian things and governments and other things that may not be any better.
Yeah. Or it's a restructuring of society.
Well, I think we can reach that point, though, and I'm going to speak as a disinterested party on this, but I think we could reach a point where several hundred years from now, where technology and science kind of takes over that missing part, because I mean, Sammy Harris even points out that science can be used to guide morality as well, and I think that if you had a technologically advanced science where you didn't have these religious disputes and mindset, I think it would be a very functional society, but it would not be something that would happen overnight. It would be very, very gradual.
That would be a really interesting debate topic right there, because there's a lot. I agree with you, Steve, and it's just interesting. I think that the idea behind all that is also, can science give us a meaning? It's not its purpose, right? It's explaining things and whatever. Right. And when we start assigning that to it, it becomes something other than science.
And that's an excellent point. And that would be the other side of the argument, because science only is set up to explain natural phenomenon, right? It's not supposed to give us that moral center, right? We have metaethics for that. We have metaphysics for that, which is branches of philosophy. To try to assume that into science could be something dangerous, but is it impossible? I don't think so. At least I don't want to say I don't think so, but I don't really see it not being possible. How about that?
And this is why philosophy does have a role.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And there are those who discount it.
But see, I always boil it back to who gets to say what's right and wrong. At some point, somebody, as a society, is going to say, well, this is what's right and this is what's wrong. And now we're right back into...
Well, not necessarily. You can have objective morality without having society dictate what it is, for back to the well-being of the society. If I said, here's a society that wants to go out and kill all the male members of the society, well, objectively, that wouldn't work, because that society would no longer function. It would go extinct, right? It is an objective fact that doing that would be bad.
Right.
But I wouldn't necessarily call that morality. I would call that practicality.
That's the thing. Would you link it to an objective morality? But that's the kind of approach that Sam Harris is taking, though. To try to say there might be objective morality and ground it in something along those lines, which I'm fine with. Objective morality doesn't have to come from God. Kant, categorical imperative, is an objective morality stance that doesn't come from the deity. It's against the divine command theory, right? So it is possible.
Yeah, I guess I just think morality is going to always be based on, multiple factors within the society. Whereas, like, yes, those truths don't necessarily fall under that realm, because they're just fact. It's not necessarily that morality. But I mean, again, this is a definition of terms.
It's the hardest subject there is, I think, is talking about morality.
I agree.
It's a very, very difficult, nuanced topic, to say the least.
It's not getting resolved tonight.
Nah, probably not.
Hey,
just saying.
So Steve, do I follow you on Twitter? You
if not, you should. I don't know why you wouldn't. No wonder people think I'm arrogant. Holy crap. Let me add you.
What's your Twitter handle?
Just my name.
Steve
McRae. I can send you a link, Mike.
Okay. I probably already do, but I probably already do, but I have
follow me on YouTube.
Probably, but I don't go on YouTube very often.
I'm the one that moderates all the Ken Hovind and King Crocoduck debates and hosts.
Oh, okay. All right. That's why I recognize your voice. Okay.
The picture,
that's my picture.
I got a new picture, a new icon.
Yeah, well, I apologize. Like I said, I have quite a few people on my Twitter account, and it's really hard to keep track.
Mike,
I like the way you're talking, Ginseng, so I want to pay more attention. I want to pay more attention to you. That's what
you're
I'm saying.
Sweet. Can I keep you? Oh. Well, Mike, you might recognize my old icon. This icon's really new, so.
Mike?
Yes, sir.
I sent you a link in DM.
Where's mine, the link to... Where's mine?
Everybody sub to
Where's
Steve.
Yours?
Yay.
Well,
Peter, you want to join my show?
Send me one too.
Yours is in the group, Molly.
What?
I'm having got. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, that was you. Okay. Yeah, Steve, I'm going to follow you now.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people like that. It's okay. As long as they do it at a distance, I'm cool. My windows have shutters, but it's okay. But hey, if you guys want to join us tomorrow, I'm having Godless Engineer on tomorrow, 4:00, and actually having somebody else named Martin on. We're going to be talking about deflating atheism and Max. So if anybody on the panel here, if you guys want to come and join us tomorrow, I do the Sunday show every Sunday, usually at 2, but I'm going to postpone until 4 so I can get Godless Engineer in.
And what time,
4 o'clock Eastern?
4:00 Pacific.
4 Pacific. Okay.
Okay.
That's 7 Eastern.
I'm in Holland. I'm getting crazy with all these.
You need international clocks, man.
Yeah.
There's a program. Yeah, there is one. I have one called Personal World Clock. It actually just tells you everything. It's awesome. Personal World Clock. Try it.
What's that in Central?
Yeah.
That's
6 o'clock Central.
6 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock Central.
So 5 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay.
See that program?
For me. I'm in New York. Yeah.
Okay. No. So you're Eastern.
Yeah, I'm in New York. So is that 4 o'clock?
Okay.
5 o'clock? I don't know.
7. 7.
Okay.
Yeah. So Steve, Peter has me terribly overworked.
He's like that. Bad man.
I have.
Well, you've kept her here for like what, 3 hours now?
Well, this is my third live stream with you today, Peter.
Yeah, this is the third live stream today. We had Godless Engineer this afternoon for you guys. So and Dean, and now the after show.
Yeah. So.
Well,
I need to go back and listen to the Godless Engineer one.
Yeah, I haven't listened to that one either. I saw it, but I didn't get a chance to listen to it.
I've never heard him speak before. I like him, but I've never gotten to hear him talk.
Me and Ozzy.
I used to follow him on Facebook. I used to talk to GE on Facebook a lot. That's where I discovered him.
Oh, cool.
We don't agree on a lot, actually. Godless Engineer and I like him. I like him a lot, but we don't really agree on much.
Well, it has to be a more respectful relationship than
Oh yeah, no, I love the guy.
What we witnessed tonight.
That's why I could go on his program. He comes on mine. We know we don't get along. We don't, agree with each other on a lot of things, but there's no hostility there by any means. You know.
Well, if you ever want to talk about ethics, let me know.
I have none.
In theory, of course.
Yeah,
theory.
okay. Well, the theory thing, I gave up ethical considerations years ago. When I joined YouTube, you kind of have to put that to the wayside.
Oh yeah.
That was not in the contract.
Yeah, they did. That's not in EULA. They didn't tell me this.
Oh, Molly, now you're reconsidering?
Just now? Are you kidding me?
How long has she been around? I mean,
like 2 weeks.
Oh God.
This was Molly's third conference.
Can we plan ahead and have like a year from now a program to see the difference between Molly then and Molly now? Because I've done something like that before with people. And let me tell you, Hannah, remember Hannah, Hannah Zuby, Peter? Remember Hannah Zuby? No. Reg Rhetoric's girlfriend. You know who Reg Rhetoric? He debunks flat Earth.
I don't get about much on YouTube. I have to say that, but I'll take your word for it, because I have two co-hosts. I have Charis and I have Molly. A year from now, they're going to be a lot better than I am and I'll ever be.
No, they're going to be jaded, is what they're going to be.
Right.
Oh,
because
okay. Well,
that's what Hannah was this really sweet girl that came to us, and she's like, you guys all need to get along. We all should sing Kumbaya together. Now she's like, screw all you people.
Okay, first of all, I have never said that in my life. And second of all, I work in healthcare, so I'm as jaded as it gets right now.
Yeah, that would probably do it. I've seen this stuff corrupt many a person. Trust me.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Peter, do you know who Presby Polemics is? Dave?
No, I heard the name, but
I'll send you a link. I think he might, if you're interested in a little more calm, level-headed kind of thing. No, seriously, Dave's a little more sane, and I think Molly would have fun because he's studying philosophy and the philosophy of religion.
There we go.
And he's a young guy. I showed you his link the other day, Molly.
Okay.
Is he a theist?
He is. But he's
okay.
Oh, that's
he'll
right.
actually come on my channel sometimes, and he'll actually when some of the creationist ones make some really dumb statement, he'll actually come in and take my side and be like, "That's ridiculous. You can't make that claim." You know, he's a pretty cool guy. I mean, but he gets running off in the philosophy thing, and I'm just like, words. Okay, let's try something.
Let me add him.
Yeah, you can have fun with him.
Send me a link.
And he's a nice guy. He'd probably be really happy to come on.
He just wants to stalk everybody.
Mike,
I will.
We'll be happy.
I can't do it at the moment. I'm on my phone, and I'll cut off on you guys if I try to.
We still have a few lined up, but Molly asked for the week off next week.
Well, and except I'm not now, because I think I'm on Thursday, I think, for my vaccination. So.
No, I was kidding.
Oh, you get to argue against anti-vaxxers?
No. This is actually a topical show because I have somebody coming on who has some expertise in that area.
Nice.
So it's kind of cake.
Yeah.
But we'll start with that, and then we'll find an anti-vaxxer.
Yeah, well, I was trying to get Mary Toko.
We'll have to wait getting the name out, but I think Molly actually got a very nice guest for us to have when it comes to a topical show. So
anybody
really looking forward to that.
He also, interestingly enough, has done some work in conspiracy theories, which I'd also like to touch on.
Oh,
is this a name I'd recognize?
Ooh.
I don't think
possibly. Not so much stateside, I think.
Well, I think maybe in Great Britain you would be he would be a little bit more well known.
Yeah, I didn't recognize his name.
But, yeah, he does
Although
a lot of
Tony didn't. Tony never heard of him, so.
But he does quite a lot of work with mathematical models, and so there's a few things that are interesting there.
Oh, I would be interested in listening to that.
Yeah, Thursday.
Yeah. I get Landon Kurt Knoll on all the time. You know who he is? He's a mathematician, astronomer, computer scientist. He's all into that stuff. One of the very fascinating guy.
Yeah, well, the channel that we have, Steve, is pretty much conversations between theists and atheists, and we do have atheists on at times, but just a limited amount. And
so you're now you're persecuting as agnostics.
Yeah,
you're saying, Peter. It's only theists and atheists. I will never have an agnostic on my thing.
We're gonna branch Peter out a little bit here.
Well, hold on.
No fence sitters, damn it! No fence sitters.
Hold on. What else is there when it comes to theism and atheism? You're either a theist or an atheist.
No, that's not true.
There's no.
Trust me.
Well, you either believe there's a God. You either believe there's a God or you don't.
No, it's not quite that way. It doesn't work that way, Peter. Trust me. There's a lot of positions that are not either. Cognitivists, either theist or atheist. They can't be either one. That's their position.
What's your position then?
I'm a temporal agnostic.
What
which is neither
does
theist
that
or
entail?
Agnostic is a person who suspends judgment on the claim. And a temporal means that I believe that we don't have knowledge that God exists or does not exist at the current time. A Huxley agnostic would say you can never know, right? The Huxley agnostic says there's no way to know if God exists or not. I'm not that strong of an agnostic. I'm only what's called a weak agnostic. But that's not the same as atheism. And like I said, there are a lot of positions. Apatheism is not atheism.
But you can be an agnostic atheist and an agnostic theist. But when it comes to believing whether or not a God exists,
not if you're a soft atheist. If you're a soft atheist, it makes no sense to say agnostic atheism. It's a non sequitur.
But there's no such thing as a soft atheist. Either you believe in a God or you don't.
No,
there's no other option.
No, do you want to have this discussion? I'll have it with you, but I don't want to bore you.
Yeah, because
I do this all the time. This is like the crux of my show, so I understand this topic, but I don't want to like derail it, man.
I'm going back to the Scotch now, guys.
I'm actually interested in this because to me there's only two options. You believe in God or you don't.
Here's the way to look at that, and that's true, but this is the way to look at it. Ontologically, meaning being, God exists or God does not exist, right? That's the only two states that can be, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. If I believe God exists, that means they're a theist, right? I'm taking the proposition some God exists, or at least one God exists, or ontologically the universe has at least one God in it. Those are all the same kind of statement, okay?
Right.
If you reject that, right, and you say, I believe gods do not exist, I believe the universe is devoid of gods, right? That is a person who's making a very positive claim that is...
Claim.
Yeah, it's a claim. but not claim. We're giving a song. Can we make a song like that so we can rap like claim? We have a claim. We should do that. Ding, 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 claim. Okay, but don't make me pee. I've been drinking too. Okay, but not all people assert that. Some people just say, I don't believe either way. I don't know if God exists, or I don't know if God doesn't exist, right? So they don't make an evaluation of the proposition. Either God exists or he doesn't. But if I say I don't know either way, I'm not making a claim toward his existence or his non-existence. I'm agnostic on that particular claim. That's not the same as an atheist in philosophy, right? And we're not talking colloquial term. We're talking in academics, formal academics. An atheist is somebody who actually asserts that God does not exist, rather than just lack of belief in one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So if I say,
yeah, but I still don't get it, because if you say I don't know if a God exists, then you're an atheist.
No, not necessarily. No, but here's the reason, Peter. If I say, look at, I don't have a God belief, but I don't know one way or another. Okay. And then you want to say, oh, but I'm going to add an epistemic modifier to that, meaning the word agnostic. Agnosticism is a position. It's a noun, but you can use it as an adjective if you want to. It's called an epistemic modifier. But if you're not making a belief claim, if you're not saying, I believe gods do not exist, then you cannot at that point add an epistemic modifier, because you're not even making a belief claim yet. And Nat Delahanty points this out to Anthony Manadabasco in a video just recently. He actually says he's reached the point where agnostic atheism, in terms of soft atheism, is nonsensical. And part of that reasoning, because he was talking to Ozzy, and Ozzy and I have been having discussions on this. In fact, if you go to Ozzy's video on this, he actually attributes in the video description me to the conversation on this, because I've been very active in saying things like this, that agnostic atheism doesn't work for soft atheism. For hard, it's superfluous, meaning it's redundant. It doesn't modify anything. A hard atheist automatically says God does not exist.
Just to get my definitions clear, what's the difference between a soft and a hard atheist?
A hard atheist asserts God does not exist, right? They'll say, I believe God does not exist. A soft atheist will not assert that. They only don't have that God belief. They'll say, I don't know, or I don't believe. Either one.
Which kind of ends up splitting hairs.
It's a huge difference.
Yes.
So with agnostic.
It's a huge difference. Like, for example,
no, I don't think so, because neither of those believe that a God exists.
Well, I'll give you an example. What kind of like clicks most people, like Matt Dillon and Roach. But let's say you have a jar of gumballs, Peter. Right? You agree that ontologically they're even or odd, right? If they're quantized,
yes,
to the whole. Okay. Now, if I ask you, do you believe that they're even? What's your answer?
If you ask if they're even, I wouldn't know. I'd have to count them.
Okay, but you can't count them.
Then I can't make a positive claim.
Okay, so do you at that point, do you lack a belief that they're even? You don't know they're even, right? Right.
No,
but
I don't lack a belief.
You don't know that they're even. So you lack a belief that they're even, but you're not making a positive assertion at that point that they're odd.
No. Well, the emphasis here is on the positive. The emphasis here is on the positive claim.
But you're missing the point. If I ask you if they're even, and you're not telling me that you believe that they're even, you do not have an even belief claim. You don't have an even belief position, right? You don't believe they're even. You lack that belief because you don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
It's self-evident.
Yes.
Okay. So a person who says, I don't believe that they're even, I don't believe that they're odd, I don't know, I lack a position either way, that's an agnostic, right? Because if not, you're saying, well, if I ask you, do you believe they're even, and you say no, that means you would have to place them as an oddist, and that's not how it works. If you say no, that doesn't mean
I've seen Matt Dillahunty use this, but not use this for this particular question.
Right, he uses it for positive and negative atheism, actually.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, actually, he does. He uses it to show that positive and negative atheism is actually a tautology. No, because if you express something the same way, two different ways, it's a tautology, and one is just affirming the one position at the same time negating the other position on the negative claim.
I don't think I agree. He uses it to.
I guess I give you a citation for that.
Express to people that if you're an atheist, it means you don't accept the God claims that are presented to you. That's not a knowledge claim.
We're not talking
that's
about
what
knowledge.
he's pointing, and that's what he's pointing out with the gumballs in the jar. It's not a knowledge claim.
We're not discussing knowledge. That's not what he's pointing out. What he's pointing out, if you look at the link I just showed you, at the very bottom, the number of gumballs is even, the number of gumballs is odd. Those are the same statement, only expressed differently. It's a tautology. And if it says either claim can be explored separately, however, claims both claims tautologically take bearing on the same question, because they're just two ways of wording the same question, because it's a dichotomy.
So, I still can't get around the fact between atheism and theism, because there is no third option to that.
Well, there is, except the way you're wording it. It's not theism and atheism. You're doing what's called a false disjunction. Okay, and I'm speaking from the philosophical point of view. The colloquial has it the way you set it up, right? That's the way the colloquial understands it. But in philosophy, they have it theist, and the position opposite of that is non-theist. The negation is P or not P. So it's theist or not theist and atheist, right? Or atheist. That's called a disjunctive syllogism. It's completely different. Okay, because there are other positions that are neither theist or atheist. They all fall into non-theist if you don't have a God belief. For example, a theological autonomist says, cannot even evaluate the proposition, and you want us to assume them under atheism. That nullifies their position, because they're saying, no, the classification of atheism makes no sense. You cannot put a propositional value on this proposition. Right? Does it make sense?
Yes, but there just isn't a third option.
But if the way you're setting it up, you're trying to eliminate any other option, but that's not how it's set up in philosophy. You have non-theism and theism. That's the complement set. If you're not a theist, you're a non-theist. Right? That's
but non-theist is atheist.
That's what you're trying to do. That's what Aaron Ra tries to do. But that's not how it's set up in philosophy.
Because that's how it is. You're either a theist or you're not.
Peter, I'm telling you this for a fact. Aaron Ra and other atheists on YouTube have been trying to assume other positions by saying that non-theism is equivalent to atheism. I can give you 1,000 citations of this. Matter of fact, if you want them, I'll give them right now, that say this is completely wrong to do that. That is not how it's set up in philosophy.
What's the difference between a non-theist and an atheist?
A non-theist is any person who lacks a God belief. If you have a God belief, you're a theist. No. An atheist in philosophy is somebody who asserts God does not exist. Any definition you look at it.
No, Peter, that's not true. That's yeah. You can give me citations. You can give me citations, but it's. I grew up in an atheist country. And the is well defined in dictionaries. In the U.S.,
that's the problem. Dictionaries.
It is in the U.S. It's no. Listen to me. In the U.S., it's defined wrong in most cases.
Okay.
Because
first of all, there's no really right or wrong definition.
An atheist is not someone who claims gods do not exist. That's not an atheist.
Okay. In every philosophical textbook you find, that is the definition of atheism. Every one of them. Every philosophical source is wrong. Okay. Well, you're literally saying that philosophers are wrong.
I'm an atheist, and I don't make the claim.
I don't make science is wrong. You're using these terms, and then you're saying philosophers are wrong. These are philosophical sources. It's like a science would be a scientific source. You can't just take a colloquial definition and then say that's the right view.
Listen to me. I'm an atheist, and I don't make the claim no gods exist.
And
because
that's fine.
Because I don't have a way to investigate, so I can't make a positive claim on that.
And that's fine colloquially.
And I think there's no one on earth who can make that claim.
I disagree. I know a lot of atheists. They all most I just did a poll. 75% of the atheists in my community are hard atheists.
Can you name me one atheist that has a method? Can I finish my question first? Because what was I going to ask?
You were going to ask to have a method to determine if their hard atheism is correct.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
See, that's why you need to let people finish the question before answering it. Can you give me the name of one atheist who has devised a method to check whether or not there is a God at all?
That's completely irrelevant to your belief. They don't have.
That's not irrelevant. No, that's not.
Peter,
no, that's not.
It's completely irrelevant. Do you know what justification of a belief is? It doesn't mean you have to prove God exists or not. It just means, are you justified to hold that belief? Do you have sufficient justification?
If I make a positive claim, no gods exist, then I'll have to demonstrate that no gods exist.
That is not how it works in philosophy. That's absolutely wrong.
Well, then philosophy has it wrong, because if I make a positive,
argue that from that kind of, that sounds like Max to me, though, right? You're doing exactly what.
No, and I hate to disagree, but you sound like Max on this, because
this is
I make a,
I love how
claim,
sounding like Max became an insult.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
If I make a positive claim.
Yeah.
If I make a positive claim, then I have the burden of proof.
Okay, here's what you're misunderstanding, though. The burden of proof in science and epistemic justification, burden of proof, are two totally different things, and you're conflating them together. In science, because you have a scientific background, you don't have a philosophical background, so you're taking this approach, and you're hearing the words burden of proof, and you're assuming that means a scientific burden to demonstrate something. That's not what it means in epistemics. When somebody says they have a burden of proof or burden of justification, that means they have to find a warrant that correlates the claim to the justification, the reason, and that means they're able to say, I have this as a belief and I am not irrational for holding it. It's why they hold that belief. If I say, look, I believe the young earth creationist God does not exist. I affirm that. I make an absolute claim that God does not exist. And you ask me, how do you justify that? I say I justify that because that God is contingent upon the earth being 7,000 years old. Here's the evidence this earth is not 7,000 years old. Because that is a necessary precondition for that God to exist, that God cannot exist. Therefore, I have just said that I've justified my belief
but that's completely different. Now you're talking about one specific God. And I wasn't talking about one specific God. I can't make the claim there are absolutely no gods.
Why do you think I'm an agnostic? But other people have justification that they believe is fine.
No, you still don't let me finish. And it's not going to work if you don't let me finish. I cannot make the claim there are absolutely no gods because I don't have a method to check for that. And no person on earth has a method to check for that, because if there was just one, we would know. And we don't.
It's not required.
If I may, I think part of the problem here, and I feel like I talk to people about this a lot, is that everybody wants to approach philosophy like science, and it's not.
Yeah.
And it's a distinct, we don't prove things the same way. I mean, in fact, one of my favorite examples is the ontological proof for the existence of God, which exists in philosophy. And if you, try hard enough, you can prove the existence of God just through this method. It's not science. It's not set up to be like science. It's ways of thinking. And I think that's kind of where, and I completely get where each angle is coming from here, because I do have a background in philosophy and I do have a background in science. And there's valid information on both sides here, but I think it's well, you guys are arguing on two different planes here.
Right, and I recognize it. That's why I'm saying there's a conflict.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem. It's being approached in two different methodologies.
And I recognize that, right? I understand that very clearly. Yeah.
I think you do.
Because I have a science. Because my background was in nuclear reactor operations and technologies. I love science. I've loved science all my life. But in the last couple of years, I've actually had to dive into philosophical things as well. And so I understand. I had to go through the same thing that Peter had to go through one time, pretty much, and everybody else. Yes. I had to disconnect the two. Yeah. It is a gradual process, fortunately, it happened relatively quick for me. But at one time, I thought philosophy was just ridiculous. So I get that.
Yeah, and
raises his hand.
But I was wrong on that. I admit. I was
it is. And thank you, because a lot of people just immediately abandon it because it seems like it's not valid when you look at it through a scientific lens. And it is. It has value.
Yeah, well, but it's not that I say that it doesn't have value. But if you are addressing atheists, and I'm an atheist, and if you're addressing atheists as people making a positive claim, then you're doing it wrong. Because you're addressing over 80% of my country. without
right, but
knowing how they think and what they think and the claims they make.
I guess
If
Peter,
there's even if there's only one who says, well, listen, I'm an atheist, I don't believe a God exists, I'm not making the positive claim there can absolutely be no God.
That's a different claim. That's two different claims. That's not what an atheist claims. There's a difference between saying, I believe God does not exist, and I believe God cannot exist. Those are two very different claims.
Okay.
It's an approach, okay? It's an approach to your thinking on it versus, let's take the word claim off the table here.
It's a claim.
It's a claim. No, I think
I'll give you that thing now. Don't worry.
I think and the difference is I think it's an approach. It's how you approach the problem, and there's a lot of people who, don't admit to, like, yes, and I'm one of those people that, we're never going to be able to prove it, but I also don't actually, from my perspective, buy into the concept of a deity, for various reasons that I'm not getting into right now.
No, but do you think that the universe has gods or is without gods?
I do not. Well, I think we're without gods, but I mean,
okay,
and for various reasons. What's that? Right. Yeah, I am. I'm a hard atheist.
Right. Okay, that's fine. I think most people I know are hard atheists. They maybe don't recognize it, but 75% of my atheists in my community identify as hard atheists. They say gods do not exist as an outright positive claim. And
but
the rest,
even if we're approaching this as like in the same way, like, yes, we're all this big group of people that aren't discussing, that aren't admitting to knowing anything about a deity in the universe. We're talking about shades of gray in terms of here's how I classify myself within that group. And you can claim to classify yourself as whatever you want. It's not like a label, like a species that's like, yes, this, this is a canine. It's
I don't know. G-Man says he's not a Homo sapien.
What's that?
G-Man says he's not a Homo sapien.
Oh, great.
It's true. He's excluded himself from that.
Different issue.
I'm no homo. That's what he says. Okay.
Different issue.
Okay. No, he says he's not a Homo sapien. He also said he's not a biped either. He didn't know what that meant.
So he's Homo erectus or what?
We haven't figured it out yet.
He's Homo ignoramus.
Yeah,
it's a whole new category. But yeah, basically, it's just people categorizing themselves within that group, and it's really sort of a benign thing.
If I can, real quick.
Go.
You say it's benign. It's benign to a point. Here's the thing. I don't know how anybody else does it. What happens is when I run into people saying, I'm going to use these very basal, colloquial, basic definitions, that's fine. People can do whatever they want. But then they say, oh, you're an atheist, Steve. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm agnostic.
Well,
oh, no.
Then they're making claims about your belief.
That's why it's like, that's just wrong for them to do that on multiple levels.
Well, yeah, but it would just be like saying, oh, you're making a claim about somebody else's approach to life.
Right.
Which
I don't say they're agnostic, right? I can logically
across the board is just.
I can logically show that soft atheism and agnosticism are indistinguishable from each other logically, but epistemically they're quite different.
Yes.
Right. The reasons for them, and so
it's in the approach.
It's not about the label. If I was an atheist, I would take the label. I don't give a crap. I live for controversy, so that is not the reason why I'm not an atheist. I am not an atheist because of epistemic reasons.
Yeah, but why should I accept a claim about how I think from someone else? Wouldn't I be perfectly capable to say what I think without someone else telling me what I think? Because that's actually my problem in all of this.
Isn't that what you're doing?
You're putting a label on me.
No.
While I know for 100% that label is wrong.
But you have it completely backwards. I'm not changing your label. No, you can call yourself an atheist. I will call you an atheist. I'm not changing your label. You're trying to change mine and saying, Steve, you're not agnostic. You can either be theist or atheist. You're changing my label. I'm not touching yours.
No, I'm just saying that.
Well, yeah.
Between believing there is a God or there isn't, there's no third option. You can't say.
I'm not claiming that
you can't say. You can't say you can't say I believe half of the time a God exists and the other half I don't.
That's not what he's saying at all.
That's not what I'm not even remotely saying that.
That's not what he said at all.
I think, Peter, it's more of like, just to put it, and not that I need, you need to be put it simply, but I think most agnostics, in the colloquial sense, purpose, would say that they approach this issue more like they admit that it's possible that there is a deity, but as they are unqualified to make any judgments about it, they're withholding,
That's not a bad way to put it.
From doing so.
Yeah, that's not a bad way to put it at all.
Thank you.
But that's actually what I am.
Right.
But I'm not.
Right. So that's why basically it's just. Go ahead.
But I'm not I'm an agnostic atheist.
Right.
When it comes to every possible God, I'm an agnostic atheist. When it comes to the biblical God, I'm a Gnostic atheist, because the biblical God can't exist because of the laws of logic and reading the Bible. You can eliminate him right off the bat. So I can make a positive claim about some gods that I've actually studied in depth, but those I've never heard about, they still could be possible. I could come up with a god that could be possible, but that's something we don't have the means to investigate. So making decisions about things you can't investigate, we can't investigate outside the universe. So we can make claims about what's outside the universe, but to me at least that's useless, because you have no way of investigating. So why would you take a position on what's outside the universe if you don't have a way to investigate?
Okay, here's
Peter,
two
you're
things.
You're a phenomenologist.
Numinum. It's hard enough to even say. Understand. Here's two things on that. Your argument isn't with me. Your argument is with hard atheists. If you think hard atheism is an untenable position, your argument is with them. It's real simple. In philosophy, the position you're describing is called agnosticism. In colloquial terms, on YouTube and G+ or even in Holland, whatever, they call it atheism. That's the only difference. I mean, there's epistemic differences, but I'm going to keep it simple. You're calling it atheism. I'm calling it agnosticism. Let's call it a day. Yours is just more general colloquial meaning. That's all. And I'm using more formal terms.
It's a splitting of terms, basically. I mean, we're talking about a vocabulary issue.
Yeah, but it's not, one's not right or wrong. I mean, these both are definitions out there. Your position is not incorrect. It's just not in accordance to how philosophy is set up.
Can I ask a question just to muddy the water just a little bit here?
Okay, come in, Mike. Go.
Yeah. Just go. No. And this is not that difficult. So basically, my position is that it would be the atheist is making a claim, and I stand in opposition to that claim because I don't think that claim is valid. Right? Mm-hmm. I'm not making any claim about nothing could exist, but basically my thing is like, I don't think that their claim is valid, so it's more in opposition to a positive claim.
Yeah, and that's the easy way out, I think, right? Epistemically, that doesn't work for me. Now, if somebody wants to call that atheism, I'm fine with that, right? I require a lot.
I'm just asking what you'd call it.
In philosophy, I'd call that agnosticism.
It's more of a soft,
which is the same thing.
I mean, it's yeah.
So that's the problem. It's what do you want to label it?
Well, I don't care. I'm not really all that interested in the label. It was just more along the lines of where I sit, because no, I'm not running around making all these claims, but to me it's.
I look at it this way. I like to think that the evidence I give for something for my justification is positive evidence. I don't want to rely on negative evidence. I don't want to say, hey, your argument wasn't good enough to convince me. I want to say your argument is bad because of this.
And in terms of this issue, the only way we can approach that is philosophically.
Right.
Yes.
That's all you can do.
Yeah, I'd rather put forth positive evidence for my position than even try to show your position to be wrong. And that's what I see with a lot of like physicians of the atheists want to do on the internet. All they want to say is, I'm not convinced by the theist. Well, sure, that works for a colloquial thing, but that to me is the easy way out.
Yeah, I appreciate that. No, I appreciate that. That's
because I think most people could probably be a lot better atheists if they took a more positive approach and didn't run from this burden of justification. And I think when I've questioned them Socratically, most of the time, every atheist I think I've ever talked to at some point will espouse a position that believes God does not exist, but they just don't want to say it.
Well, this might sound stupid, but I just want to have it out there because I'm still not convinced. A friend of mine on Twitter has an invisible dragon. Where do you stand on that?
Okay, I could really get into this very deeply, actually, but I don't know if they want to. But I'll just do a brief thing. Whenever you're positing something, like the Ruffles teapot argument, right? You have to have a reason for what has been an explanation for. The God claim is an explanation for something. Whether you agree with it or not, that's posited as an explanation. The invisible dragon scenario is a false analogy. The Santa is a false analogy. I'll give you papers on this that I've read. These are false analogies because one is being. What is your invisible dragon? What are you suggesting that's the evidence for? What is your observation that you're positing that evidence to be?
As long as I say my invisible dragon breathed out all the people into the world, it was his breath that gave breath to all the people, and without my dragon, people wouldn't be here.
And that invisible dragon can make himself visible. Can make himself visible just like God did, and I can have him tweet to you tomorrow.
So you're positing God is an invisible alien, right?
No, he only does voice tweets. He can't type, but yeah, he's on Twitter.
Yeah, the problem you run into is, again, this gets into a lot of stuff, deep philosophical stuff. But you're making very simplistic.
Well,
simplistic.
There's just one. Listen,
for many different reasons.
There's just one thing here now. Either you believe the invisible dragon exists, or you don't.
Right.
Or you admit to the possibility of the invisible dragon.
Well, but still, I mean, he's right. You either have the belief or you don't. But right. I can say, look, I either lack a belief in the invisible dragon, or I can assert that the invisible dragon doesn't exist, and I'll give you reasons why. You know, the term dragon, I could tell you the definition of where it came from. Understanding that dragons are fictional creatures. But I can give you just
now you're going too far. What you're saying is that if you make a claim, I have to counter with. But in this, I have to counter with another positive claim, and that's not a fact. I can just reject your claim until you come up with sufficient proof for me to accept your claim.
Again, I have the position to say I can not believe your claim, or I can say your claim is false. I can say I believe your claim is wrong, and then I give you justification.
I don't need to say your claim is false.
I have to justify my position to myself, not to you.
Yeah,
I have to have the burden of justification. There's more than one. I have one to myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I say I believe, and I think Santa's the easier way because is this an easier way to go? If I say I believe Santa does not exist, right? I hold that belief. I have to justify that belief, and the way I justify that is because I look at two situations. One of a man in a reindeer and flying around, giving presents, and I say, okay, I've observed humans giving presents to humans. I've seen parents going out and buy presents. What's a more likely scenario? I'm going to accept the parents going out buying presents for their children and family rather than the other one. I don't believe the other one. I believe this one. I am justified.
But that's the wrong analogy. Yeah, sorry,
Peter, listen.
That's the wrong analogy. No, listen. You make a positive claim. Santa does not exist.
Yes, you don't. You think?
I don't.
Wait, you don't make. Wait a minute.
That's what I'm trying. That's what I've been trying to tell you all the time. I don't.
You will not say I believe Santa does not exist.
I don't go around making claims that gods do not exist.
I didn't say God. I said Santa.
Okay.
You won't say I believe Santa does not exist. You think Santa exists?
That's a good thing I don't drink.
No. I don't think he exists.
This is what happens when you reach this epistemic level of nihilism, right? It goes into absurdity. He's so far atheist that he doesn't even recognize that it's no big deal to say, I believe Santa does not exist. Any rational adult should be able to come up with reasons to justify that.
I think the problem is that here in Holland, adults, atheism has grown into adulthood, and in the U.S. it's just.
But we're not talking about atheism. We're talking about Santa. You won't even say, I believe Santa does not exist. Really, Peter?
No, because
that's just odd to me. That's just nonsensical to me. And I've never met an adult that says that they won't say, I believe Santa does not exist. I think, Mr. Man, will you say, I believe Santa does not exist?
Well, I believe Santa does not exist.
There we go. That's a claim. We had a claim. Claim.
Well, listen. I can make it even more difficult, because I actually do believe that Santa exists, or better yet, at some point existed. He's dead.
You're talking about Saint Nicholas. That's not we're not talking about that. We're talking about the what you would think of Santa as a red suit flying around, right? Not the object that it was a referent, and not the objects. You want if you really want to get into it, you could have argued something called
that's who he is. That's who he is.
Or platonic forms. Is there a platonic form of Santa that exists in some reality?
Peter, Steve, Jen, Molly. Good night,
man. You ran them off.
Merry Christmas and all that other fun stuff.
Real. That was what ran them off.
Take it easy, and thanks for joining us, Mike.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it, Peter.
Bye, Mike.
Always glad to see you.
So, Molly, if I can ask you quick, what did you said you had a background in science and philosophy? Can you expand on that just real quick for me?
Yes.
You seem to have a good handle on these terms and stuff.
Well, I have a biology degree that's in biology and philosophy. I currently work in healthcare, but I'm kind of a philosophy buff. So I do a lot of reading on it.
What kind of biology? Evolutionary or?
No, well, it was just general. I just did general biology in college.
Where were you when I had my debate with true empiricism on ATP synthase? I had to get Aaron Raw's help on it.
Ouch.
Well,
hey, I'm around.
He knows biology. His philosophy is wretched, though.
He does, actually.
Yeah, no, I love Aaron's biology, but when it comes to philosophy, are you familiar with Fodor's natural argument for natural selection?
With who? I'm sorry, you cut out there.
Have you heard of Fodor's argument?
I have. I can't recall it right offhand.
It has to do with the intentionality of natural selection, whether natural selection actually makes predictive. And it's a good argument, sound, right, from a philosophical point of view. But Aaron, he just looks at things from a scientific point of view, and he just dismisses it outright. And he doesn't know what extensionality, intentionality, any of these terms. And so when people ask him about it, he just went nuts. And it's just like, Aaron, stop. I mean, he's on my show right now, and I don't want to make him look bad. But I'm like, Aaron, you're completely lost here. Just don't go down this route, because they're baiting you, because it's not an easy subject. It's like the ontological argument. It's a lot more complex than people realize, right? People just yeah, they just wave it away as God, defining God into existence.
Can I jump?
Yeah. Sorry.
Can I jump in real quick?
Your show.
What power does that argument have? Does it have predictive power? Is it useful in biology in any way? And if so, how?
Not generally. The argument is just that natural selection doesn't allow for predictive modeling, and therefore it can't be a theory. Darwin's theory of natural selection.
Run that by me again.
What's that?
Can you run that by me again?
There's something called the
I'm
theory.
Dutch. This is my third language, so
there's something called the theory of natural selection, right? And the theory of natural selection has a couple of things that it holds to, right? There's about 4 or 5 criteria that Darwin has said exist. I'm not off the top of my head. It's something like, more organisms produced generation by generation that can survive, and you could probably give them out better, but basically that natural selection doesn't have what's called intentionality with an S, not a T, to be able to predict which coextensive trait, meaning 2 traits that are joined together such that they're indistinguishable from each other as a mechanism which one is being selected for. A good example would be a white polar bear. Natural selection would say that the polar bear is being selected for the phenotypical trait of being white, right, which is based upon the genotype of the genes, but it also has the coextensive property of being able to blend in with this environment. Those are two different traits. And natural selection doesn't have the ability to choose either one because both of them exist coextensively. If you have one, you automatically have the other.
Okay.
But it's a very, very
now I have more problems than I want because the polar bear is black, for one.
Not a racial thing.
Yes. No, a polar bear. Well, a polar bear is black
with white.
And what color do you think its hair is?
What's that?
It's clear. It's clear.
Yeah, it's clear.
The
polar bear
fur is
yeah.
Has black skin.
Yeah.
So polar bear's black.
If I could interrupt for 1 second, I apologize. I have some stuff to deal with at my house here, so I have to depart.
See what atheists do? They run.
Hey. You know, it's funny. In the middle of talking to Dean, I actually had to sign off for a second, and I told Peter, like, don't let him think I ran away. But yeah, so it's been fun, guys.
Can we do this
and
again? You're not going to hate me?
But
no,
you already subbed me, right? So okay.
Molly?
Yes. What? Yes.
So this quits for the night? Just
yeah, it's 1:45, Peter, so
oh god.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you for allowing me on. Sorry to get into these discussions.
No, it's great to talk to you. But yeah, I will speak to you all soon, but it's been great.
Awesome.
Okay. Have a good night.
Molly, thanks for tonight, and I still think you did very well. So
thank you, Peter.
I agree.
Take that away from me.
Good night, all.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Okay.
Good night.
Okay, we're left the two of us.
Yeah, I gotta go. My husband's snoring in the recliner.
Okay. I think
but that's okay.
We covered enough.
Yeah. I was listening to every word that was said. It's just I have to realize that nodding and smiling is not audible.
Okay.
I have to remember to actually speak instead of just sitting here shaking my head yes, no, and smiling. So
I felt a little bit bad because we didn't hear you that much, and so
that's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
I was here.
Well,
definitely.
At least thanks for joining. It was good to at least meet someone who you usually just see from the chat. So that's
definitely. Great. I would love to do it again. Next time, I swear I'll remember to actually speak instead of nodding my head to myself.
Okay.
All right. Good
okay.
Night.
Thanks. Yeah. Good night. And thanks for the people listening. We'll be back maybe this week, maybe Thursday. So follow us on Twitter. I'm at gonnagoForIt, but we have every Twitter account in the description, so you can pick out the one you want to follow. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe, and see you all next time. Bye-bye.